Today, I'm super excited to be able to bring someone that I've interviewed previously and possibly done one of the best interviews I've ever done. Soros, he is a $10 million seller doing online arbitrage, and I love his mindset. I love what he's about and what he's sharing. If you're interested to learn more about how he's scaled and also the things behind the scenes, stay tuned. We're going to share all in this interview today. Okay, so if you don't know, today I'm super excited to bring you Soros, who I've interviewed before. Actually, when I interviewed this guy last year, I was so excited that I got off the phone, I spoke to my girlfriend and said, I need to get on a plane and actually go meet that guy. I think it was about 2 months later I actually met him, which was incredible. And I've learned so much, and we've known and connected so many times since then. And I count him one of my trusted and close advisors and friends right now. Soros, thank you so much for joining us. But if anyone doesn't know your journey, can you quickly explain who you are and obviously tell us how you got to where you are today?
Thank you for the invite here, Tom, and happy birthday, by the way. Yes, and that visit birthed the infamous whiteboard sessions that are now an online sensation, so you may be able to find those somewhere. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'll give you guys just a quick recap if you don't know me of who I am. I'm a $10 million seller now, but it didn't start that way. I didn't have any sales at one point. And actually, if you go to my Instagram on Soros Empire, you can click back. This is really fun for me to click back. I have a road to $1 million where right when I started, I had no sales. I was just kind of being confident, I'm going to do $1 million in sales. And part of me was like, what are you doing? You're putting this out there. Luckily, you don't have that many followers. But then what actually ended up happening was I put out goals and I hit them almost to the T, which was super crazy and kind of how I've built my knowledge of business today. So let me take you back to where it all started. Let's just take it back all the way. I was a depressed high school teenager, sick of being in a bubble. I get to college and I'm kind of like, all right, this is a lot better. There's a lot of freedom here. I like this. And then I get into the real world. I'm working in DC and I'm in a corporate office. And around that time, I was getting into Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Workweek because there were no mentors around me. There's nobody around me in this corporate desk, corporate office that I wanted to be like. There are people that made money. These guys didn't seem happy. So I'm constantly observing the people around me. I'm like, where are these people? And I'm 35 now. If you're younger now, you actually have a lot more mentors all online that you can emulate and be like. We didn't always have that. I'm totally dating myself. But you look around you in the office and you're like, all right, I kind of want to be a little bit like this guy for this reason, but not the full picture. So Tim Ferriss came out there. He had blogs, he had his book, and that kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, is this guy really doing all the cool things? He says he really designing his life, and that kind of sparked some ideas. So I followed some things in the book. I traveled the world. I negotiated a remote agreement with my office. I was still working for corporate, but I was in Miami. I did the crypto thing. I got rich, lost it all really quickly. And again, I didn't really do anything of note entrepreneurial wise. I was still just kind of working from home, my accounting job. And then I got pregnant with a new girlfriend. We were 3 months in and she got pregnant, we got pregnant, and I had to get serious. And luckily, my girlfriend at the time introduced me to my mentor named Paul. And he did a quick video call with me. And he told me, basically, I'm going to teach you Amazon. And for some reason, the moment a word came out of his mouth, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'm skeptical. I'm not sure about this. But fast forward, Paul didn't teach me Amazon. He taught me some tactics, but what he taught me was how to think. He taught me how to be optimistic. He taught me how to be persistent. He ingrained in my mind some principles that I didn't really realize he was doing until now when I look back. Paul kickstarted the mindset shift. I started shopping like crazy, getting a little bit of confidence, opening up credit cards, blowing up my store, hitting that $1 million goal this first year. And then I kind of got an obsession with high value time, looking at my time for the day and being like, I can improve this. I can get more sourcing in here and outsource this. Next thing you know, 2 years later, I have a 26-person company and I have a $10 million store. I say it like that because it really feels like that. When I look back, I'm like, man, I don't even remember hiring all these people. Since then, we've restructured a little bit. I got a little crazy. We got it down to 12 employees. We are now more like a $7 to $8 million store. I work 1 hour per week on my store. Right now, I'm working 1 hour probably every 2 weeks. And one reason I love talking to Tom about business is because he has very similar goals. We're trying to work less so we can do more in other areas. We're always trying to empower our teams. And a lot of people that come into Amazon, they think they just have to, they think they have to grind and hustle and do this. And no, it's a real business. You can build it like a real business. You can automate a lot of it.
Wow. I love that. I love your the road to 1 million. I love how you went crazy. I would really like to kind of delve into the the mindset because I know you're big on this. You're really a big mindset guy. I'm talking about goals, hitting them. So can I just ask the question straight away? Like, you go on YouTube right now and you talk about like selling, and it's all about tactics, sourcing, do reverse sourcing, storefront stalking. You're not like, you know how to do that. Like, I don't doubt that. You're not so big on that side. Why are you not going down the tactics route? Why are you all about the mindset? Like, why does that help you? Like, surely you're crazy. Come on, man, do some tactics.
Yeah, and I'm catching a little bit of flack for that, but it's, you know, I've just analyzed so many sellers, so many business people coming through. I've analyzed my journey, and it just points to the same thing. Certain people have a lot of times unconscious competence, and they do certain things that other people don't. And I've revealed tactics to 10 people, and I see which ones are successful. And half the time I know exactly who's going to be successful. So that's why I'm so big on the foundation. And that's what my mentor, he was on the phone with me for 3 hours at a time saying, focus on the yes, get pumped up. Like, what did you do well today? Focus on abundance. He wasn't giving me tactics. He wasn't telling me what stores to go to. He wanted me to get the confidence that I could figure out what store to go to and meet the manager and like find a way to get products without any of his help. That's why I'm so big on mindset, because I just know this year, the past couple years, you know, I've only been doing Amazon for 3 years. I knew it in my heart, but didn't make the full transition to 100% believing it in my heart and gut. This year, it's different. I 100% know why certain people are successful, and it's mindset. It is the way they think. It's basic principles and habits that they need to change. So we teach that first. I teach that first. I care about that first. And then one thing about me catching flack is I know all the tactics. Me and Tom meet all the time. I know the tactics to scale your business, but I give this to somebody that doesn't have a proper mindset foundation. It's just too much for them. I have to do my mindset work every single day to continue building the empire I want to build. And there's a reason for that, because if I didn't do it, the whole thing would fall apart, because it's about focusing on abundance, cleaning up your mind, improving habits.
Okay, so if I just summarize, because I want to like be clear here. So when people start selling on Amazon, they're about, I need to learn how to do X, Y, and Z. I need how to do, should we say, I don't know, like sourcing, or I need how to do reverse sourcing. And what you're saying is that is important, of course. We actually, you know, if you don't know how to like dig the hole, it doesn't matter. Like you're not even going to get started. But even if I give you the shovel to dig the hole, if you don't believe you can dig the hole, it's pointless. So what you're saying is about, I can teach you the tactics, that's absolutely fine, but you've got to be able to believe that you can find the deals. You've got to be able to believe that you can make money. You've got to be able to believe that you can grow this business and get where you want to do. Because if that doesn't exist, you'll never get there. Is that kind of right?
100%. And what belief can do, and not everybody feels this way. So we have the Hormozis coming out big time lately, and they're more about evidence before confidence and belief. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that, because I needed belief to drive my persistence. I think some people are unconsciously good working and persistent. I think that is a minority case. And I know those people. Charles in Arbitrage Ops, he's a crazy good hard worker, and he didn't need this mindset stuff to start. He ended up using a lot of this mindset stuff to get to the next level. But many people already have that innate persistence. I did not. I was lazy. I didn't want to do anything like most of my life. But then once you start connecting with a desire, connecting with, I really want this. And it feels weird at first, because we are taught not to connect with our desires. We're taught to listen to society, sit at your desk, memorize capitals, crush your basic real desires that you had as a kid, crush them all your life, so you don't connect with them anymore. And what's amazing, if you watch a baby learn, what do? They connect with their desire. They say, I want to walk. That guy is walking. I want to do that. They have no thoughts in their head that they can't. They bump their head, they fall, they scream, they cry. And guess what? They're walking, they're talking, they're learning so much in such a short period of time, because they're getting connected with a desire. They decide what they want to do, and they just head in that direction. So as a business owner, this sounds so overly simplified, but if you can get connected with a desire, turn it into a goal, you are now not just taking your conscious mind, but your subconscious mind as well. And I think many of you can agree with me that your subconscious is smarter than your conscious. It is one of the major reasons you are where you are today. You can get them aligned by putting a goal into the future, connected to your desire. Suddenly you're waking up in the morning with this persistence, with this fire, with this pulling towards your goal. And then that is solved. And that's like 50% of your problems. Now, when I give you a tactic, you're going to go after it, and you're going to take it, and you're going to retain it. You know it's part of your goal. If I gave you a tactic before you were moving forward in an energetic fashion towards your goal, you're going to come back next week and ask me, maybe even for the exact same tactic, because it wasn't part of your journey. You didn't know where to put it. You didn't understand why it was a part of your journey. And I've had people like this. They ask me the exact same question a week later. I'm like, where did this answer? Like, how did they not get this down? And I'm starting to understand why.
Can I ask a question? You talked about it there. You talked about like desires, connecting with them, moving them on. But you said you were lazy. Could you talk through that? Like, where were you? What was the desire? How did that come around? And how did you connect with it? Obviously, if people, like, don't get me wrong, like, you know, I still remember the day when I sat in bed and was like, man, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. And I'm sure a lot of people right now, probably maybe sat in their corporates, are like, I'd love to do what you do, but I just can't see how I can do it. Can you talk through that journey?
I'm really glad you brought that up because I would love to revisit those feelings. And it's cool because I look back and I always felt guilty. People looked at me weird, like when I didn't want to do things, but I understand now why I was lazy. It's a lot of reasons because, yeah, I'm feeling the same way a lot of you guys are feeling. It's like, I don't have direction. What should I do? Like back then for Amazon, I wouldn't have thought like, oh, this would be cool. Obviously, I want a big business, but I don't want all the headache around it. Laziness was probably just a reaction to like this stuff going on. These different options I have don't seem very good. I'm not really sure. These people that I'm trying to become don't seem very good. So just like, you know, why even do it? And also like, yeah, like why are we doing so many of the things we do? Why are we kind of filtering ourselves, putting ourselves into these corporate jobs? It doesn't really make sense, doesn't feed my soul at all. So I think part of that laziness was kind of like a resistant to move forward into the world, move forward into this world that was told to me is how life is, and it doesn't look that good. So naturally, I'm probably like, I'm just going to do nothing and just hope something else comes up. And what's crazy is the laziness did become a superpower. It's a reason why I got so good at delegating, because in my heart, before I set like crazy high goals, you know, my first goal was like financial security for my baby. That was the first burning desire that finally got me going. The laziness was just a desire to be able to constantly have a clean slate in my life. I want to be able to work and make some money and come back to my bed and be able to take a break and think about life. And for some reason, I always had that desire, and it makes sense now. Because now, at the highest levels, where do the biggest thoughts come? Where do the biggest connections, the biggest partnerships come? It's when I have peace, have a clean mind, and things just show up. And if you don't give yourself that space as a big business owner, you're never going to follow those opportunities. So it got a little all over the place there, but laziness became a superpower because it helped me say, all right, this task, I don't really like doing it that much. I can't wait to give this to someone else. Once I build the templates, build the systems, boom, that addiction to giving somebody my work after I've perfected the system just kept steamrolling. I didn't make a business plan. I just kept getting addicted to that process in business. Like, I've done this. I don't really want to do it. It's kind of low value time. Here you go.
There's something really interesting that you talked about, and I've experienced recently, and I think it's quite interesting, is my girlfriend used to always say to me, why do you work so much? And I was like, because I love what I do and it's play, it's not work. And then I bring it back to your laziness in the fact that I said to her, when you love what you do, you are just working, like, you are willing to play all the time. And interestingly enough, she's thinking about creating a YouTube channel about like her work, which is like documenting her journey, which is quite funny. So once I kind of gave her that idea, my God, like the whole weekend she was working. And I was like, how do you feel? And she says like, I've got this in my mind. I'm just like buzzing. And I was like, and it's really interesting because you talked about it like laziness, like when you said, I have poor choices. And when you're like trapped in this environment of poor choices, you're like, well, I don't like any of them, so I'm not going to do anything. But the moment you start getting out of that and start having good choices, you're like, wow, now I'm excited. Now I want to do a lot of stuff. And then that changes your whole kind of mentality and attitude towards it. And you go from one of being lazy to one of like, there's so much I want to do. And like, it's so empowering. And I think that's fascinating.
To revisit that moment, it's such a paradox in that moment because you do have to get moving and nothing, because you're programming yourself after being lazy for that long to believe that nothing is good around you. You really then have to break through that terror barrier, fear barrier, and just do something. One thing you got to realize is when you set a goal, go to do something, you have a better chance of achieving other goals and getting into other things. If you're just sitting there and thinking of all the different options, you're just continuously telling yourself there's no options. Why should I do anything? And we program ourselves. You get into this state of fear. So in that state, if any of you guys watching this are in that state, I have been there. And I remember how hard it was to break out, but you do eventually have to break out and pick something, even if it doesn't feel perfectly right, just go for it. And you're going to be able to pivot along the way and you're going to land somewhere that is right for you because you've put energy into a direction. And you could just, when you're moving on a course, when you're, moving on your skateboard, it's easy to turn when you're actually moving forward. When you're freaking going 1 mile an hour, how hard is it to turn? You can't do anything. So that's how it works in this too.
I love it. So earlier on, you talked about daily mindset. What does that look like? Can you give us an example? And basically, so tell me, what is that today? What does that look like for you?
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, my daily mindset routine is pretty it's pretty intense, I think, for some people, but it's super fun for me. Like every morning, right away, I have 15 people on WhatsApp that I wake up and this thing is completely crumpled up. Tom has one now. I wake up and I read my goal card. I send it to somebody in WhatsApp and I forward it. There we go. Tom is on it. I'm telling you, this stuff is powerful. I forward it to the 15 people that I'm accountable to on WhatsApp, and we all just start off the day with wow, there's 15 people doing this with me, sending it back. We don't listen to each other. It's just accountability. So I start off the day with my beautiful, exciting, scary goal. First thing I read, I'm not getting into messages. I'm connecting with that goal. I'm trying to envision myself with that goal because that's really what we're doing. We're becoming that before we're actually there. So I start off the day with that. Sometimes I get right into a cold shower and just pump that out even more, but not every day because sometimes I'm like, man, cold shower today. So I have a pretty busy schedule. And this has been a really fun exercise lately. And I think I'm going to keep running with this for a while. One of the things with mindset is constant vigilance. By the way, none of this is mine. All of this is, I'm a messenger of books that have been written for thousands of years, probably. The most recent one that's the best described is Think and Grow Rich. And a lot of things have spawned from that. That's like 1920, 1930 or something like that. None of this is mine. So I just want you to know this. I did not come up with this. I am taking things that people studied, 500 successful people over 20 years, and all of them would answer that you have to think it in your mind before you can hold it in your hand, and tactics to make that happen. And constant vigilance is one of the price you pay for success is constant vigilance on your mindset, constantly reframing negative feelings and thoughts that come in to the positive, because there's a positive to every single negative. Tom could tell me any problem or issue, challenge I'm going on right now, and I could instantly reframe it to the positive. And he knows. And I want everyone around me thinking that way too. That's where it gets even crazier, where my whole company starts thinking like this. So we're only thinking abundantly. So day to day, I'm reframing when things come in, and that can start with your limiting beliefs. If you have one or two limiting beliefs that you notice are, I'm tired all the time, I have low energy, just start saying the opposite. So that's a constant part of the day. And then anytime I have the desire to scroll Instagram, scroll Twitter, do some just kind of mindless task, I have Bob Proctor videos or Think and Grow Rich on audio that I just play instead. So all day, my brain is being fed powerful, positive, abundant thoughts, and it starts to compound. And the thoughts of limiting beliefs and I'm tired and all this, they start to fade away. So my job is to clean up my mind and improve my mind every single day. And what's incredible is, and I teach other people in my company how to do this too, that solves 80% of my problems. Suddenly problems melt away when everybody gets motivated, when everybody starts thinking powerful thoughts, when people are focused. And some people that I've taught this work to, they change in 1 hour once they get their goal. It took me 3 or 4 days. Some people take weeks, but getting my entire team focused and aligned on an individual level with their personal desires, and then also as a corporate unit, let's make a vision board. Let's think about exactly what we want as a corporation. You teach them that as well. And I've just had incredible results. And that's why I have such high confidence that I'm building an empire here. And it's fun.
I love it. I love it how oh my God, you've got, it was 26, now it's 12, 7 to 8 million. And you're I'm building an empire, but it's fun. And you're looking, and I love the positivity of it as well. That's while you were talking, there's one thing you reminded me of. I think it was this factory and, they pack boxes on a conveyor belt. It's the most boring, mind-numbing thing in the world in the US. And basically the guy came in, instead of playing music, he decided to just play Tony Robbins every single day. And he was the happiness level just went through the roof. And he was at first they hated it, but then after a while they started listening to it, and then they ingrained their mind with it. And I think it's so important. And I get it. I sit there and I'm I'm gonna start scrolling Instagram, and I start it, and then I go, hey Tom, you know what? You need to watch I'm listening to Naval on YouTube, and I'm learning about philosophy and mindset. I find when I watch Instagram, I'm okay. When I watch listen to Naval, I'm for the first minute or two, I don't really want to be listening to this, and I keep going. And then 5 minutes, I'm okay. And then 10 minutes in, I'm wow, now I'm back up again. And it's really interesting. I think it's so powerful. Question I want to ask you: watching your mindset, absolutely love it. Reframing to the positive, love it. But I'm going to come back and challenge, because a lot lot of people might be right now going, let's say, for example, I bought a deal on Amazon and it crashed, the market's going down. Could sit there and say, like, think about a positive, but I'm sure some people might go, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reframe everything to the positive so I don't feel bad, but my business is still going to fail. What would you say to that?
That's interesting. Maybe it's a fine line, but I think we have limitations with our language. Positive might not be the word. Powerful. What's the most powerful thing you can think of in this situation? And in this situation, I bought too much of this product and it tanked. I better use this pain. I want to use this pain to learn as much as I can, because this was going to happen to me at some point or another in my Amazon journey. If I really think about it, we're going to buy too much at some point. It's going to tank on us. I'm happy I learned this now. Let's get this all down. What exactly did happen? And guess what? Pain is here for a reason. We have this pain about this money loss to teach us. It's tuition that in a year's time, when we're operating at 10 times the size, we already got the pain. We already know exactly what to avoid. That's the powerful answer to that question, to that situation. I wouldn't say it's positive necessarily. I think we're just dealing with the wrong words there.
No, I like that. And I think on the one side, you could reframe everything to the positive to try and kid yourself, but then obviously you're not successful. But it's about when the baby learns to walk, the baby falls over, but it doesn't look at the falling over as like, oh my God, I fall over and hurt myself. It's like, oh no, I want to get up and I still want to go over there for the candy. And it keeps going because it's like, I'm one step closer to the candy. Yeah. Or like the toy, for example.
100%.
But again, looking at the positive side of it rather than the negative side. And my God, you talk about like, I think the saying is we learn so much more from our failures than we do from our successes. We learn really nothing from our successes.
You don't know how much
what we thought
I have lost so much money in my life. Like, I've lost more money than people will make their entire lives. And that's a badge of honor. That means I can go play at a higher level and I'm not afraid of that. And I know certain things to avoid. So you got to take your things as a badge of honor, because you're going to look back and be like, I got through that. Other people just stayed at the desk, ate the food, Netflixed their way through life. And I got through that. I'm freaking way better for it.
When you said that, I'm thinking like Elon Musk and a rocket blows up. And he's like, well, at least we know what doesn't work.
I mean, I don't think that man knows failure in his vocabulary. Like, I think he just only knows like moving forward and trying things.
Yeah, crazy. So you mentioned something earlier on. Let's go right back. So I talked about mindset, I talked about daily mindset, and I love that. So thank you very much. You mentioned that you were introduced to your mentor, a guy named Paul, you said, and you said like that was quite fortunate. But like, how did that, like, obviously the introduction got made, but how did that change things? Like, because by the way, you said you'd made a lot of money and lost money on crypto before. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you're particularly stupid, maybe lazy, but obviously you've done pretty well. But how, like, what did the mentor do? Tell me about that.
I mean, generally the quick crypto thing, if anybody was in 2017, all I knew how to do was buy, and I just kept buying as it went down. I don't think there was any skill involved. It was just a gambling rush, and I was doomed to fail. And eventually I learned a lot more about investing from those big losses, from that pain. I had wasted most of my money before the Amazon journey started. And one person I don't give enough credit to in this situation is my girlfriend at the time, who's now the mother of my daughter. She really had a much more imaginative, fearless brain than me. So before Paul, she was working on me. She was laughing at when I said, "Oh, I need to be a CPA. I need to do this safe thing." She would laugh at me. And then when I talked about finance and business and stuff, she would pay attention and she would encourage me. And that was honestly, I always forget this part. I often forget this. That was a huge first mentorship. The first person, it could be a friend, and I think it's even more powerful, a significant other, that just encouraged my good traits. And she believed in me before I totally believed in myself. She knew I was going to be successful. And she knew she had this Amazon guy in her back pocket. She said she had a strong feeling. By the way, she met him at Tony Robbins a couple years prior. And she said she always had a strong feeling that she'd be doing business with them at some point. But that's not really her wheelhouse, or it wasn't at the time. So she had been kind of just putting it in front of me like, hey, this guy will meet, he does a mentorship. And once we had the baby, I was like, probably part of my brain was like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to be a trader. The other part of my brain was like, let's see what this guy's got. So once he was introduced, again, this is a kind of pattern I'm noticing. When a master is speaking, the first word that comes out of your mouth triggers something in me. I'm like, something is different about what this guy's saying. I saw kind of his professional prep center in his house, and I'm like, this guy isn't just giving me BS. He's got something here. And I think what happened in that moment, I didn't know it at the time, I made a commitment that I would listen to everything this man has to say with full faith and really not question him on his methods, because I want to be more like this guy. Like we said before, like there weren't a lot of mentors, there weren't a lot of people to be like. This guy was positive. He was running an awesome business. He was excited. I need to become more like this guy. And he, by the way, after the mentorship, he's taught many students. I'm his best student. And he said the main reason is not because I was a CPA, a trader, I understand risk reward, none of that. It's because I gave him full faith and just listened to everything he had to say, and I went and executed it. Again, he just started programming my brain for positivity, for powerful thoughts, for abundance without me even knowing the purpose of it. I listened to everything. I went out even when I didn't feel like it. I did everything he said, and I became part Soros, part Paul. And that's why I hope, when somebody learns from me, I know that's happening to them if they give me full faith.
You remind me of something. I was listening to an Alex Hormozy, what's he called, YouTube yesterday, and he talked about it. He said, like, before he had done over 10 million in sales, he'd read one book, and his kind of belief behind it is that you don't really learn by reading, you learn by doing, and you should go find those best people who are already doing it. Just do exactly what they say, and then you're going to learn so much by doing what they say. And then once you've done it, you can come out the other end and go, cool, now what would I change? But like, you've got to do what they say first, because it's kind of like, going down a road and questioning every step. Like, it'll take you forever. Like, just walk the road, do what they say, and so long as they're good people, you'll probably get roughly where you need to be, and then you can go back and reflect on it and go, how would you do it quicker? And you'll get to the end result quicker, and you'll be able to improve quicker. And I think that's a really interesting point. You really remind me.
The Hormozys are spot on about so many things, and I haven't heard that one yet. And it's 100% spot on, and it's crazy because that's one of the major things about the one book. I'm really glad he pointed that out. That's one of my practices this year. I'm reading Think and Grow Rich. That's it. I'm reading like 2 other books. Stop giving me your books. Like, I get 5, it's a joke. I get 5 book recommendations a day. We were taught to consume content everywhere. Is anyone doing any of that content? You have to ingrain the one book, ingrain the one mentor. That's how our brains were meant to work.
I fear not the man who knows 10,000 punches, but the man who knows one punch 10,000 times.
These quotes are all there. They're all there. We just have too much other stuff. And the other thing that Hormozy talked about there, oh man, I got off track. But there was another awesome point that Hormozy had there that I wanted to riff on, but that's okay.
No, honestly, it's really, really good. So question for you, mentor.
Okay.
You were lucky.
I came to me. Sorry, Tom. It's just I think the issue with a lot of people have with giving somebody full faith is the chance of being scammed or the chance of failing by giving such faith. That's a major commitment. And I've struggled with this because I didn't ever give too many people full faith. So then when I did decide, it worked. And I think people do have battle scars from committing to someone. I do wonder how many people did it and they actually gave up themselves, and that's the reason they failed and not followed the person, or how many people actually legitimately did get scammed by bad actors. And that's a point for debate.
I think even to the my God, you could go both ways. You could go like, the guy was okay, but he didn't really know it. And the other one was like, I kind of applied half his stuff and obviously it didn't work. You're like, well, like half the stuff gives you what, maybe 25% of the results, because you've got to do the whole lot, like if you're lucky. We could be here forever talking about that. The question I want to ask you is, you talked about like, what kind of advice do you have around like people looking for mentors, maybe looking for people to follow, maybe people who's, should we say, being careful about bad actors? How do you spot that? What kind of things do you look at?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I focus on positive so much that I don't see a lot of bad actors. I'm like, my circle is not any bad actors. If you find a mentor that has the energy and drive and willingness to teach you and give you a little extra time, pay the man and go after them. Like people like me and people like Paul, we're trying to build big things and we can't give the one-on-one. And honestly, I'm taking a coaching course right now with this guy in my area, Chris Patterson, who's revealed a lot of this. The moment I got his information, my life completely changed. And he can't give me one-on-one, or at least he doesn't want to give me one-on-one until I've done all his material, because what's the point? He's just going to be saying it again. So I'm doing all his material and I may ask him for one-on-one, but I'm paying 10 grand for 6 months for that. I'm actually, after this call, him and his partner are going to reveal to me a program, like their platinum program, that's $60,000 per year. And I think I'm going to do it because there's billionaires in this group. There's people that ran up $100 million in 2 years. I'm just going to ask, can I get in front of these guys? Can I get a dream planted in my head from these guys? And for $5,000 a month, if I can get millions and millions of dollars in value right away, like I'm going to do it. So if they give me a proposition where I can get in front of these guys, I'm going to do it. So now if you don't have a lot of money, if it's hard to find a mentor, you don't see anybody like that's going to give you that full package, a group, or again, like this format, a group coaching environment can be great. And I got to be honest, Tom, in my community and in my arbitrage ops community, there's a lot of members, and there's still not enough members that really utilize it to their, like, ask questions to the top members. People love helping. Like, you can join an Amazon group and find the top selling members, find the people that you like, and DM them. And if you are freaking like on your stuff, like if you're trying your best, it doesn't matter, because we've been at every single stage. We love seeing people that are just starting and just getting their first sale. If you DM somebody like that and they can tell you're going out to the stores, they'll give you a free mentorship in your DMs. I've done it for 10 people. I freaking hate teaching people that paid me and are not paying attention and they're not moving it forward. I love teaching people that didn't pay me $1 and just asking the best questions. Like, I'm feeling the nostalgia on their journey. Like, I know exactly where they are, exactly what they're feeling. It's letting me relive my life, and I'm getting able to give to somebody. So it's just such a good feeling to help. That's why we like to do this coaching and mentorship deep down.
You really remind me of a couple of things. So obviously I do coaching. I really don't. I'm available to book. And I've had some people where they're like, Tom, I need you to teach me. Only you can do it. I'm like, if you really want to do it, you can book here. And by the way, like, it's very expensive. I wouldn't recommend it at all. I value my time massively. And they've booked it and they're like, right, Tom, I want you to teach me how to read a keeper chart. I'm like, I have a really good keeper video for free on YouTube. You could have just saved all this money for. And it's really funny because in their mind, they have it like you're going to give them all the answers, and it's really hard work. And also I see it from the other side, whereby you get people, and you know the people who DM you and ask you questions because they ask you very different questions, not like, how do you do keeper? Like, is Amazon legit? Can you really make money on it? Is it a scam? They're like, so I was looking at this product and I'm really worried about this little bit of the chart right here. And do you see how that's changed and like the big drop? And they're like, oh man, yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Like, because it's an interesting question. Yep. We're like, I'll give you all the time of the day for that.
In that question, it just explained to you how much, you can tell how much work that person has just put in. And you get excited because, wow, this person's using their brain. They're going after it. Who is this person? And when I join this expensive group, they're excited for me to be there. I'm a new energy. I am the new person. They remember those days when they were just, these billionaires remember their rise. And I'm coming in with this new fiery energy, and they're like, man, when you get to that level, you have such a serene mind. You've seen so much up and down, and it's worked out anyway, that you're just like, I don't need these crazy emotions anymore. That's how I assume I'm going to be in 20 years. I'm going to be this freaking Zen master. You tell me I'm still going to have the fire. But they see the fire coming, they're like, this is awesome. I miss guys like this. I don't hang out with these guys. So they are going to be excited to be around me. So guys, put yourself out there. If you're working hard, people want to talk to you.
I love it. Okay, I want to come back to, I want to kind of challenge something slightly. Someone right now has got a corporate 9 to 5, and you're talking about paying $60,000, what they earn after tax, we say, just to gain access to billionaires. And I'm going to sit here and go, I can't imagine that world. Mm-hmm. Like, that sounds effing stupid.
Yep.
Like,
I understand.
What would you say to them?
Yeah, everything is relative. So I have some money in the bank. Like, that 60,000 relative to me isn't that high. I mean, it's high. It's still a leap. But you're going to have your leaps that you need to make. You're not going to be able to break out of that 9 to 5 without doing a couple things that don't feel that comfortable. And one of them might be, look, I found this mentor, I found this group. I'm willing to commit all my time and effort to this thing. Even though I have the 9 to 5, I got to make this leap to commit to a plan, to get up early before work and put in 2 hours of sourcing. And after work, I'm going to think high-level business thoughts. That is a major leap. And then eventually you might lead to a leap that's like, I'm making a little bit of money on this Amazon, and I have confidence that I can potentially turn it around, or I can potentially make enough to replace, or at least make enough that I can survive. You're going to have that decision to make. And this is a very similar decision. I'm very fortunate to be in this position, but I was there where you are. I actually was like, I had enough in the bank to to do Amazon without a job. I was very blessed for that. But there are guys that do make these commitments, and it's all relative on this little leap that you're deciding to make. If you find a mentor from your 9-to-5 that you think can help you break out of this 9-to-5 pattern, you might have to pay a little more than you're comfortable with. And you know what happens when you pay a little more than you're comfortable with? Like, you might not believe in yourself at first. You pay that, you start to value. When you pay a little bit, you value what you just bought, and you do start to bring out new energy, and you do start to respect what you just bought, and you follow this mentor, and your whole life could change.
Let me ask you a question. I found someone, I follow them online, for example. I really like them, and they offer a coaching course, whatever, doesn't matter, community, but man, it's too much. I just don't think I can afford it at all. And really, I'm probably looking from a perspective of, if it doesn't work out, what kind of advice would you say to someone thinking around that? Because that's quite a common one.
So, well, first of all, if you're saying it's too much, I really want you to look at your day, and you really got to decide, like, you got to look at risk reward, like, long term. Like, if you're in this corporate 9-to-5, your risk is extremely high for like way higher than you think what you're doing. Like, 20 years, you could have health problems. You could be stuck in the corporate. You could have a bad marriage. Like, all these things for not feeding your soul actually have a much higher cost than you're currently considering. So think about costs in terms of that as well. So I would think about that and think about the actual price and see if you can do it. But now I guess your next, and that's like, and then you can fear set that. Fear setting from Tim Ferriss is basically like, what's the worst possible thing that can happen if I make this leap, if I pay too much money? And a lot of times our brains are analyzing the risk so wrong. Like a lot of times, this is directly from 4-Hour Workweek. I did exactly this. What's the worst case scenario if I quit my job and go travel? If I quit my job and try this for 3 months? I think the worst case is I'll spend 2 weeks and get the exact same job back, and I'll lose a couple $1,000. And I'm so afraid of this. So fear setting is super important for deciding it. And the reward, what's the reward on that? Your entire life has changed. You become a happier person. You build a massive business. So you actually have a major risk and reward imbalance there. Now, the second part of that question is, if you do make the leap and you fail, I guess that kind of addresses it. Like, is the failure actually that bad? Is it the end of times? Or is it you tried something, you tried your best, it's not the right time right now, and you're right back where you started, and that's fine. And maybe another time in your life, it will be okay. I think we make failure to be part of our person. Failure is me. Failure is an event. It's just something that just happened, and you learn from it, and we move forward.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's interesting. Like, I remember doing that exact same. I read Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Workweek on the way to Thailand when I first left the UK for a 4-week holiday, and I still have yet to return 5 years later. So obviously I've been back to the UK, but not to live, should we say. That was only given a 4 weeks travel and then come back to live back in the UK. But I remember it. I remember thinking, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? And I'm lucky because I'm from Europe and we have free healthcare. So I'm like, I don't have healthcare problems. I can go live back with my dad and I can go get a job. So I'm like, I'm not going to lose anything. Like, if anything, it's just a bit of time. And I think that's really interesting, where you talk about like the opportunity to improve versus the potential loss you're having. It's like massive, and it's the rest of your life. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs really understand that, and they also understand in the fact that, like, I would rather risk it now for the opportunity to have a life that makes me feel fulfilled every single day. And the downside is, if it doesn't work out, then perhaps maybe I'll just go, I'll go back to my job. I'm exactly the same where I am. But the opportunity for a fulfilled life for the rest of your life, and the ability to invest your time and the opportunity to do something, is absolutely incredible. So absolutely love that. Thank you so much.
Why are our brains such poor risk analyzers? There must be some ancient survival stuff in there. They're not looking for that. They're looking for the jaguar around the corner or whatever. And you really got to stop, use your brain, and really use these higher level tactics. Like, what's really at stake here?
What's the rational logic decision, and stop thinking emotionally? Yeah, 100%. So I just want to say, obviously, I appreciate you're a busy man. You have got a lot going on. But if anyone wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
Instagram, Soros Empire. Twitter, Soros Empire. Those are the best right now. We're coming out with a YouTube very soon. Check me out on Instagram. Feel free to DM me. I answer all DMs. If you like what I'm talking about, if you're feeling something in your heart resonating, I'm a messenger of this material. I'm super happy to bring it to you. It has changed my life. I love teaching Amazon. I love interacting with guys like Tom. Like, I freaking love this stuff. 3 years ago, I was not like this. So don't think you got to be like this right now. Oh, man, this looks exhausting having this much energy. First of all, right now it's not. But man, if I looked at this 3 years ago, I'd be like, oh my God, what kind of person do I got to become? I got to become this like excited person, but it's all natural. Back then, I was not like this. Again, I was lazy. I was just looking for the shortcut, and boom, I got blessed with my mentor, Paul, and my girlfriend at the time. And I started to rewire my brain, started to change some of the habits, started to connect with my desires, and everything changed. And you can have the same thing. I am not a believer that certain people are meant, like, certain people do have, they're different, but I believe anyone can do things like this. I really do. I believe a lot of people have a lot of skills that are not coming to the surface, and a lot of themselves that are not coming to the surface. And that's what's at stake. If you decide to embark on a journey to like really set a goal and do something different and try a business, it is so rewarding and fulfilling. You get to become more of yourself.
You talked about it, your girlfriend, your coach, you talk about the mindset. There's something Tony Robbins talks about, and I really believe it. Your environment equals destiny. If you put yourself into a great environment around great people, around great things, that will dictate your destiny. And I think if anyone's watching this, my one takeaway for this is be very mindful about the environment you're in right now. Think about how can you change that to make it more positive and proactive, exactly things like you talked about, and just watch the transformation. Over the next couple of years, it will be incredible. I just want to say, if anyone is interested, I'll drop all the links down below. But Soros, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to following the journey, and perhaps maybe I'll get on another plane soon, come over and meet you. We'll do some more whiteboard sessions.
No, I'm coming to Mexico. Let's go.
Oh yeah, I love that. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, and obviously I look forward to catching up with you soon. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Tom. See ya.